Alright, LEGO Star Wars The Skywalker Saga was announced all the way back in 2019, and after almost 3 years of anticipation and with a few delays, how does the game stack up? Well, it may not be Elden Ring, but goddamn is this game fun. The game isn't perfect, but I mean any game released in the year 2022 is going to be prone to some bugs and glitches, and while that's just the sad state of where the video game industry is at the moment, I personally don't think that it detracts from just the overwhelming pleasant experience that I've had playing this game so far. So what makes this charming little game made for children and Star Wars fans, which are basically the same thing, so amazing? I think that it's time that we find out. So the last couple of videos I've made, I would say have been a little bit more on the negative side. I try not to sit around and bitch and complain too much about video games and other media because I actually go outside and have a life outside of sitting in my little dungeon in the basement. However, it really brings me a large amount of joy to be able to talk about something good for once. When I was a kid, I played the shit out of the original LEGO Star Wars games. I remember my first experience was playing the original LEGO Star Wars on the Game Boy Advance that my friend showed me, and I was blown away by how the game looked on the handheld. I played the games originally on GameCube, but really got into them as they made the complete saga for the Wii, which I loved. Those games had so much charm to them, and since Star Wars is my favorite media franchise of all time, I was in heaven. Fast forward to today, I had waited for years in anticipation for the Skywalker Saga, and I just gotta say I am blown away with how incredible the game is. The game still holds the charm of the original titles while bringing elements of modern gaming to make the game a truly enjoyable experience. Now, to preface everything, the game at its core is made for children, and as an adult man-child who collects Star Wars action figures, me like you very much. But in all seriousness, while the game isn't overly complex because it wants to be playable by people of all ages, I still think that the game is a lot of fun and still possesses a challenge in some areas. The main challenge in the game isn't going to come from the combat, and while there is a fair amount of combat in the game, it's not really that hard if you have working hands and know how to read. But it's still fun because of the amount of characters you have at your disposal and how they are all able to approach combat in fun and differing ways. The main challenge of the game comes from its puzzles, and while the puzzles themselves usually aren't too hard compared to the other strictly puzzle games, I really like the way that they did them in this game. I really like the puzzles because they make you think about all your different characters and abilities you have at your discretion. Some puzzles require you to use the Force, others require either a protocol or an astromech droid, and some you just need to be able to grapple around like your Spider-Man. This leads me into the collectibles, because this game has its fair share of collectible items. I think it's a strong point to the game because most of the collectibles are locked behind varying puzzles. It's not like other games where you just run around and find pigeons in dumpsters or some stupid shit like that. You kinda actually have to work for those Kyber bricks sometimes. I'm usually a completionist when it comes to open world games I really like, such as this one. And to have you exploring the worlds you're on to find all the collectibles in interesting ways through puzzles and making sure you have the right characters for the job definitely makes 100%ing the game a real treat in my opinion. The huge departure though, for this game compared to the previous LEGO games that came before is from its open world, or worlds I should say. I love the way that they did this, by having all the different iconic Star Wars planets, as well as some of the ones from the sequels, to be able to fly around to and explore. Each planet isn't super huge, which I think works well because there's not a lot of empty space in the open world sections where there really isn't shit happening. Also, each planet that you go to has its own score from the Star Wars soundtrack, which really adds to the feeling of you being here in that universe. I could go on and on talking about how much I love this game, honestly. The fact that it has hundreds of playable characters and ships to play as, how smooth the game runs and plays, note that I am playing on a Series X, so it's pretty much always a stable 60 FPS, the amount of side content from the puzzles, collectibles, and side missions, the charm and humor are on point with so many jokes that only mega nerds like myself would enjoy, and the game is just truly beautiful. The planets look amazing, it's truly everything I could have wanted out of a Star Wars game. However, the game isn't perfect. No games really are. There have been reports of people finding numerous different bugs and glitches, which is pretty much on par with any AAA video game release these days. I personally haven't run into many of these, maybe like one or two which weren't a huge deal, but nothing game breaking. Also, I know this is going to be a super lame nitpick, but there are some levels we got to play in the original LEGO Star Wars games that were relegated to cutscenes in the Skywalker Saga. I understand why they did this. Making a campaign that spanned all 9 movies in the Skywalker Saga already already is a lot of ground to cover. I was just looking forward to playing the opening space battle of Revenge of the Sith, and when it was just a cutscene, I shed one manly tear before realizing that I'm a 24-year-old adult and I should cry over something more depressing like taxes. But honestly, overall, I don't really have any huge complaints. Bugs usually tend to get fixed within a reasonable amount of time, unless you're Cyberpunk 2077, and the levels they missed out on are a bit disappointing, but the amount of other content included definitely makes up for it. At the end of the day, I love this game. I know with Elden Ring out this year, pretty much anything else released will pale in comparison, but personally, so far, this is my game of the year. Nobody hates Star Wars more than Star Wars fans themselves, but this game is truly some of the best Star Wars gaming we've gotten in years. But like with anything, that's just my opinion. But have you played the game yet? Let me know down in the comments. As always, if you enjoyed, please leave a like and consider subscribing if you enjoy this weekly kind of content, and if you have any suggestions about what you'd like to see me talk about, please let me know. I've been receiving a lot of love lately from people finding this channel, and I really want to thank you all so much for watching. I love YouTube, and having people actually enjoy my videos brings me so much joy, and I just hope I can continue to keep you all entertained. I think that's going to do it for me this week. I'll see y'all later.